Good afternoon and welcome to Go Live. I'm glad you're here with me, and I'm glad that you're here with me.
I'm glad to be
I
here.
have Christina Collignon sitting to my right, I suppose, I
Yep.
guess. That can mean only one thing. That must be another episode on AI. Okay,
That's so true.
good guess on my part.
Mhm.
And I know we have Sharan, Schefrin going to be joining us very shortly. You guys are our AI experts. Very grateful that you are such because you guys are keeping us up to date on everything AI, and it's constantly changing. I don't know how you do it in your spare time. Okay, well, let's get down to it because I know we have a lot to cover before we get to your topic. And you want to remind us about some event that's upcoming.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, I'm on our Impact Council, and this summer we are joining the Surfrider Foundation for 2 different beach cleanups. We had our first one up in Ventura just a couple weeks ago. Shout out to our Ventura Impact Council Charitable Foundation members and Magda Nordahl for a great turnout.
Yep.
We also have one upcoming this Sunday, July 19th. There will be another email going out about that. I do know that they were full as of last week, so there is a wait list that you can add yourself to. A few people have gotten through that wait list, but we have several members of our charitable foundation and Impact Council that will be out cleaning the beaches on Newport Beach this Sunday. So keep an eye out for that email. You can also go directly to the Surfrider Foundation's website and look for that Newport Beach posting. But if you're not able to register, join the wait list and hopefully see you out there.
Way to turn out Orange County. There's a wait list already.
I know,
That's
right?
amazing. And thank you again, Magda and crew up in Ventura for turning out there a couple weeks ago. So
Yes.
awesome job. All right. In your spare time, you're on the Impact Council.
Yeah, in my spare time. Researching AI.
Exactly. And filming our exotic properties across our footprint. So, okay, let's go on to some of our other announcements. We want to remind everybody that every Friday is Jimmy Burgess' Quick Win Collective. And last Friday was a very special, important one, right, Christina Miller? In our control book. Okay, so I'm getting the thumbs up. I have not watched it, but what I want to remind you is that you have an opportunity to watch it recorded. What we do is we record it every time, and we have a special Quick Win Collective channel on our Percipio. So again, if you're not available on Fridays at 9 o'clock, which unfortunately conflicts with my schedule, which is why I didn't get to watch it live, you can always watch it, the recording on Percipio. So very simple. If you go to the next screen, Christina, she had the URL up just a moment ago. So in the chat, if you want to quickly make a copy of that, you can easily go there. But I want you to know how to go to get all of the Quick Win recordings. So open up your Percipio in the search bar, just type in Quick Win, as you can see there, I've done, and it will pull up this results. Just click on channel. You can see Jimmy's face right there. Click on channel and all of the recordings will pop up. Want to scroll all the way down to the bottom because that's where the most recent one is, but I encourage you to check out them all. Every so often on Quick Win, Jimmy will have our good friend David from 1000 Watt. And so last Friday he had David Watt on there from 1000 Watt, and it was an excellent podcast. So you definitely want to check that out.
Yep,
so,
he always does a great job.
He always does a fantastic job. So again, check that out when you have a spare 60 minutes and you won't be disappointed. Okay, next slide. Speaking of when you have a spare 60 minutes, you won't be disappointed. On July 23rd, that's next Thursday, I believe at 9 o'clock, our HSOA Connect series continues, and you're going to have an hour with Lawrence Hune, who's the chief economist for NAR, and he's going to go into where we are with the economy. So we're halfway through the year. Can you believe it?
I cannot believe it.
I know. What's interesting is last year about this time, or maybe a little bit later, it was probably the third or fourth quarter of the year, NAR was actually predicting a 14% increase in the market this year. They were kind of off. And they quickly, in the beginning of this year, downgraded their expectations. So it'll be interesting to see what they're expecting the second half of this year to look like and maybe into the first part of next quarter. So you know I'm going to be paying attention for sure.
Yep.
Okay, next one. And then I want to remind all of you that our good friend Tom Tom Ferry has his Success Summit, and it's back in Orange County. So it's back in our footprint, which makes it a lot easier for all of you to attend. Making it even easier is we, of course, secured a deep discount for you. So normally it's over $900. And if you were to go on Tom's website today, because Ashley Thomas did that for me today, you are eligible for a 50% discount, so $499. However, we secured a deeper discount for you. So if you use the QR code that's on your screen now, and only that QR code, so if you go to Tom's website, you're going to end up paying $499. If you use that QR code, it's $399. And this is for his summit that's August 3rd through August 5th in Anaheim. As I said, it's right in our backyard. And Tom Ferry never disappoints. He's got a lot of great speakers, a lot of great information. And I guess his topic is also on AI. So
It's not surprising. It's a big
not
topic right
surprising.
now.
It's a really important topic. So, all right. I think that concludes for my announcements. I think we have Sam Guillen in the wings. Sam, are you with us? Sam might be waiting.
I am.
Okay. All right. Sam, I know you have an
Can you
important.
guys see me?
We can't see you yet, but we can hear you. You're like the
Ah,
voice
I
of
wonder,
God
I
coming
wonder what's
down.
happening here. Oh my gosh. Is that
Uh,
like, I can't, can I say it? Like given the FIFA circumstance, the hand of God
That's
circumstance
right.
that's been all over. I don't know what's happening with my camera right now. Let me try to do this again.
At least you're not muted, right?
At
Yeah,
least
no,
we can
I'm
hear
not
you.
muted.
Between seeing you and hearing you, I think we're going to get I think we get the better deal. No offense, Sam.
There's going to be a fight after Go Live today.
There might be. I'm going to run out the
All
back
right, well,
door.
that one camera's not working so well. Let's try that one.
There we
Oh my
go.
gosh, that one is even worse. Let me try. There you go. How you doing, everybody?
Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Your patience. You got to love technology when it works.
Mhm.
So, hi. Thanks so much for having me. And for those that are interested, if your attention is split, like it probably has been for most of this summer with FIFA, Spain is winning right now, 1-0 over France. So, yay, go España. All right. Thank you, Brent, for having me on. I wanted to share really quickly something that we are seeing here in the compliance department in our file reviews, specifically with regards to listings. And so as listings are coming through, we're beginning to notice an uptick in listing agents wanting to pre-negotiate a commission for double ending the transaction. Okay. And so what that means is at some point during your marketing, a buyer approaches you and they want to purchase the property and you agree to represent them and they agree to hire you. And what at that time, the buyer really should have a conversation about paying you a buyer representation commission. That's another negotiation that happens at the time that the buyer decides that they want representation, right? And then after you've made that negotiation, then the next step is then to write an offer and then negotiate that side of the commission with your seller and ask your seller to cover that on behalf of the buyer, okay? So that's the way it should go. And in probably 90% of the circumstances, that's the way it's playing out. We are seeing a small uptick, however, in listing agents at the kitchen table, likely because the seller is saying, well, if you double end it, how much are you going to charge me? Right? If you're going to represent that buyer, some agents are pre-negotiating what that charge would be. And you're likely doing it because we're holding on to the way we used to do business so that we don't have to have those really difficult conversations that sometimes are hard to have with the buyers of how much would you like to pay me? Because we really can't tell the buyer, don't worry, I'll represent you and it won't cost you anything. We cannot say that. Nor can we add into the contract and pre-negotiate with the seller what the seller would pay you if you represented that buyer. That is a breach of the compliance under the rules of the Department of Real Estate. So on your screen now is really what your listing contract should look like, right? The numbers might change there, but really you should only be negotiating at the kitchen table the commissions that the seller is going to pay you as the listing agent, period. Nothing else. No other addendums, no other circumstances. What you need to say to the seller if they say, well, what if you represent the buyer? You need to share with them the process. And here's precisely how I would like you to articulate that. Obviously in your own voice, in your own donations. But I'd like you to say, well, the good news, seller, is that we don't have to actually settle on that today. Because first, the buyer must agree to hire me as their buyer representative. Then I have to negotiate a commission with them. They have to agree to pay me a certain amount first. And if they decide to write an offer after hiring me, then they may elect to ask you to cover those fees. They may not. We don't know that until we are at that moment of writing an offer and beginning to negotiate that transaction. Now, in a perfect world, the buyer will say, no, I'll just pay Sam directly. I don't need you to cover that cost for me. In most cases, buyers are going to ask, and then you negotiate it as if the buyer representative was from some other brokerage. It would happen exactly the same. Under no circumstances should you pre-negotiate and then have something that you've pre-negotiated either verbally or worse in writing where it would pivot to, well, this, if this happens, then this would apply. Okay.
Sam, can you
cannot have a if this then that situation.
Good, and I love the script that you use because again it kind of diffuses the whole situation and it kicks it down the road for a later date. But
Correct.
talk to the agents a little bit about the difference between what you're describing and the appropriate use of this form for additional compensation when there's an unrepresented buyer.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So there are circumstances where a buyer will come to the table and they do not want any representation. They sincerely want to go this alone. And if that happens, if that opportunity presents itself, then the listing agent will be forced to facilitate things more than they would normally facilitate, right? Because you will be in a position where you have to answer certain questions. You have to provide certain documentation because that would be in the best interest of the seller. And that is your obligation as the listing agent. But where the line is drawn is in the advocacy and in the representation of that buyer. It's really not in who provides the forms, right? And I think sometimes we get locked in that well, I'm not going to give them the forms that they need. Well, if it benefits your seller, that's your obligation to be able to do that. But it's more in who's advocating for the buyer and who is representing their best interests in the transaction. And that is the line in the sand, right? And so by you negotiating upfront that if a buyer who is unrepresented and does not want representation, they do not want to hire you as their buyer representation, then this additional amount would kick in so that you can facilitate that. Because the script that you should be sharing with your sellers is, now, sellers, in this circumstance, this is when a buyer has said, I want to go it alone. I do not want representation and I will not pay for representation. Then at that point, seller, I am obligated to do some more work, but more importantly, I'm obligated to walk a very fine risk management line that protects you and protects me and my brokerage. I will absolutely facilitate this and provide the documentation and the tools and resources that are necessary to get this transaction closed, but I cannot cross the line in advocating for that buyer or even offering that buyer advice or telling them how to write their offer, how to respond to a counteroffer. I cannot lead them in that way. And because I have to walk down that very fine line for both you and I have to charge you an additional commission for that because I have to take extra care in this circumstance. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Right?
So understanding how to use both of those scripts would be important for a listing agent if they want to check box C2 or C.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, hey, I get it, guys and gals. It is a tough go out there right now, and you are all working extremely hard every single day. And I so appreciate that. And we just want to make sure that you're staying compliant, keeping yourselves out of harm's way. And if you ever have a question, the entire team is here to support you. Just reach out to us, and we're happy to help.
All right. Thank you, Sam.
You're
Good
welcome.
advice. All right, back to your game. Because I know that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's why your camera didn't work.
Bye.
All right. Without further ado, let's get to you and Sharan. So let's bring Sharan to the conversation. So Sharan Schefrin, who is our, I have to read this because your title just got bigger. Your title got bigger this week, right? Our regional marketing manager of Santa Barbara, Ventura counties, and wait, San Luis Obispo. We're forever growing north.
We are
We're
forever
forever
expanding.
marching north. So congratulations for our folks up in San Luis Obispo. And of course, Christina Collignon, Director of Marketing. So you guys are going to explain to us what happens when AI is invited to the transaction.
Yeah, this has been kind of a different angle for us to take because I feel like we focus a lot on marketing strategies with AI. But a couple weeks ago, someone on our team who I know is watching right now bought a car, and he was in the dealership using ChatGPT to kind of negotiate better on his behalf. And, as agents, we're using AI to help better serve our clients, market our properties, problem solve. But clients are using it too. They're becoming more and more adept at using ChatGPT, Claude, whatever it is, and they're showing up to these conversations with AI. So we kind of wanted to talk about what it looks like when our clients invite AI into the transaction. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
I think my screen, there it is. All right.
I love your line here. You said rather than viewing AI as competition, right?
Yeah, we want to be collaborative with it.
Exactly.
So we're going to talk a little bit about why this matters now. As of this morning, Sharan has an example of an agent who has a client using AI that she's going to talk about how to spot those AI-informed clients. And instead of responding negatively, instead how to set the tone for collaboration. So you're working with the client and AI if that is their preferred tool to move through the transaction. We also looked into 5 different scenarios that a client may invite AI to the transaction. That doesn't mean that's all of the scenarios. So if you have an experience with it, feel free to throw that in the chat or go talk to ChatGPT or Claude, whoever you work with, and figure out how to deal with those kinds of situations. And then we have a few scripts and best practices as well.
Lots to cover.
So Sharan, why does this matter right now? What's going on?
Well, that's a loaded question. Yeah, why does it matter right now? Okay, let's backtrack a little bit. Your clients have always brought information to you, whether the neighbor down the street told them something, right? They have a friend who's a realtor, usually in a different city or even better in a different state, and they're telling you advice, or they found an article. So this is nothing new. What's new is this use of AI. And AI is extensive, as we know, extremely detailed, and comes across as the authority, right? So it's a little bit more scary. I think this number is pretty low. I think our agents, more than 58% of our agents using AI, hopefully, thanks to our classes. But your clients are also using it. Do not be fooled. And we've seen lots of cases of this. Christina's right. I have to shout out Randy Freed, who gave me an example, a real life example of an email he received. His clients don't speak English. It's not their first language. And this was to do with a solar lease. And he received this very detailed, very well written, very extensive email from them about the lease, asking questions that they would never have known to ask. So clearly written by AI, right? There's been some, let's say, some highlighted cases. So there is this case where a seller asked an agent to come interview and value their property. They then decided to go it alone, classic FSBO, but unlike classic FSBO, used AI and got $100,000 over what the agent said they could receive. And then there is the very famous, if you haven't heard about it, $50 million case that almost went sideways because the buyer asked AI, am I overpaying for this property? And the seller asked AI, should I accept this low price for my property? And the 50 million deal nearly fell apart. And I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. These are the exceptions. And we always hear about the exceptions because they are newsworthy, right? The sensational headlines make the news. So this is why it is so relevant that we're talking about this now, why Christina and I thought we have to tackle this subject, because we want to arm you with the tools and the wherewithal to combat this in a way that is collaborative and will make you shine even more as an agent. So if you've ever wondered if AI is going to replace you, by the end of this session, hopefully you'll realize all the ways that it cannot.
Yeah. So when it comes to spotting the signs, just like in Sharan's example with Randy, he received an email that probably looked different than their former communications. It was different tone of voice, different structure of the email. It was way more thought out versus, all lowercase, no punctuation that you might be getting. So that's kind of a good way to see like, oh, hold on, this looks a little bit different than what I'm used to seeing. Maybe they're using some of the typical buzzwords that ChatGPT uses or sentence structures. So, if there's a break in the pattern of communications. Same with text messages. A lot of people are very informal with their texts, or they'll shoot one after another versus a long message. And then maybe all of a sudden you're getting a text message that has bulleted points and like a greeting, like dear sir or madam. Maybe it's clear signs that they haven't edited it to their personnel texting style. So those are kind of clear signs that might be a little aggressive at first when you see it, and you might have a reaction like, oh, they're judging how I do my business, or they're trying to tell me how to do my job. A phone call could be a little more difficult to spot because you're reacting in the moment. You can't go back and review it. But often they may seem like they're reading off a checklist, or they have a script in front of them. They're going rapid fire, like I said, reading off a screen. So that might be a good way to identify it. Again, it's a little harder because it's in the moment. So you can always take a moment to pause, and we'll give you some strategies with that as well. And then in person, they may come armed with printouts because, as we know, a lot of our AI sources give you a lot of information. When you ask a question, it's not just a simple answer or simple bullet points. I know me personally, when I ask questions, I'm always asking it to trim it down or don't give me so much information. So they may have printouts, they may have a lot more questions than usual, and it might just feel different than former experiences that you've had with those persons. So instead of responding immediately or reacting emotionally in the moment from your own emotions, kind of take a moment and be like, okay, why does this feel different than some of the other communications that I've received?
The first two, the email and text, apply for staff too. I get them. I'm like, they sound like so-and-so.
or friendships, it's not just business related. A lot of people are using it. And so I think a lot of people are seeing like, was that AI?
This doesn't sound like my husband.
Right. Exactly. So you could use this in a lot of different ways in your life. But obviously there's a lot of more emotions and stakes involved in transactions. So just some few ways to kind of spot that. Remember, take a breath, do your box breathing like we were doing before the show. Okay, so then what happens? How do you confirm those suspicions, Sharan?
So I think a good way to do it is to bring up AI before they do, right? Hopefully when you received the listing and they wanted you to represent them, part of your marketing strategy, you're explaining to them, hey, AI is a great tool that I use, right? It's the same as using social media or e-cards or advertising. It's another amazing tool. We should not be shying away from it. We should be embracing it. A great agent is going to use AI, right? So why are we keeping it hidden? So bring it up before they have a chance to bring it up. It will actually help with this conversation if they bring it into it, because There's nothing hidden. There's nothing to be kind of scared of when they bring it up because you've already mentioned it. Invite it. Don't get defensive, right? So, oh, what have you found out so far? What has it told you? Can I have a look, right? Let's be collaborative rather than getting defensive and trying to be asking all these questions that make your client feel like they did something wrong, right? That's not the case at all. Would you mind sharing what you found? I'd love to see it. This one is a really great way to, one, see the prompt that they put into AI, because that is going to tell you a lot. I'm sure it's missing a lot of key information. I'm sure it's not as extensive as the prompts, if you've been watching Christina and I, that we've taught you to say. Also, it's a great way to find out what's at the heart of this. Why are they doing this? Typically, it's not because they want to challenge you, right? They chose you for a reason. You are their representative. They're probably thinking, oh, I did something great. Here, this is what AI is saying. And it may come across as challenging, but if you use these kind of tricks and tips that we're going to talk about in our scenarios, it will help you not only diffuse the situation, but cement the fact that you are teammates with your clients and not combatants over AI. You're using the same tools. You've just been better trained in how to use this tool and can prompt better to get a better response than your clients. That's the difference. So asking them to share it with you and show it with you and collaborate and just bring that up gives you an insight into where they are as well. So that's what we're going to talk about in our scenarios. But these are some things that you can start to practice now. You can practice them with AI, conversely. You can have a conversation, right? Practice your scripts. But let's not make it a bigger deal than it is. And we will show you in these specific scenarios how to do that.
All right. And then oops, went too far. Went way too far. Okay. It didn't click and it went all the way. Okay, so once you've kind of identified that, you've acknowledged the AI, here are a few ways that you can position yourself, again, as AI literate, not defensive. This is a collaborative process, but also you're the local expert. You have the industry knowledge. You know what additional information needs to be added into those prompts to get the right answers out of AI. So again, like Sharan's saying, acknowledge I've trained to work alongside AI. Let's compare notes. Confirm with them, yeah, a lot of my clients are using AI, and I think that's smart. Like, validate that is a good way to kind of get some of their answers, their questions answered. But like, let's take a look at what you have and let's compare it to what I'm looking at locally. I use these tools as well. Where we might differ is because I inputted this information about your specific property or this community that you're in. So again, you're not competing with the tool. You both are using AI. Maybe your client uses it in their line of business as well, but you're the local expert, you're the industry expert. So you need to work collaboratively together to achieve both of your goals. So let's,
I love that. I've actually trained on how to work alongside AI tools. I love that.
And if you've watched our Ahead of the Curve channel, that is an accurate statement.
Accurate statement.
Yeah. Okay, so now that we kind of have you and the client on the same page, let's also look at some different scenarios where this might happen in your typical day-to-day with your clients. Sharan.
Yeah, so we tried to pick some things that are actually happening and some things that we know that's going on. Pricing. We've always been there. The client thinks that their home should be worth way more than it is, and now they've got AI to back them up. What do you do? Marketing the property. They've done it all. They've written the listing description for you. They've got all the social media captions. Why do they need you, right? They've all done it on AI. This is interesting. Now they're starting to use it in the transaction. So maybe there's a specific clause that they didn't understand. And so once you're out of the room, they put it into AI. Maybe it's to do with a specific part of the transaction, whether it be repair requests or escrow, and they are now asking AI before they are asking you and getting, like we've already discussed, a kind of a one-sided answer. dueling AI numbers, this is kind of what we talked about in that $50 million deal, right? The buyer has got validation for their number, the seller's got validation for their number. Now we're facing no man's land. What do we do? And then this one I was introduced to quite a few months ago when an agent in Santa Barbara showed me, I think it was a 2-page email. I don't think I've seen many 2-page emails before, where they had sent this out to several different agents. And basically it was asking them, what is your strategy? What are you going to do? How do you market and list my property? First 24 hours, first 48 hours, 72 hours, and all of these questions before the agent was even allowed into the house to interview. So in that situation, what are we going to do in that situation? So in all these scenarios, we've broken it down into the practical, emotional, and intellectual response. So we'll give you all three. It's important to understand the three. I think the emotional response to me was very interesting because we do tend to feel a certain type of way when someone confronts you with all this AI information. And so I think that's a great way, and they all dovetail with each other. So we're going to go into pricing first. Christina's going to dive into that, and we'll show you how these three components work.
All right, so this one is similar. If a client pulls their home's value from a Zestimate, similarly, they could be getting that information from ChatGPT, Claude, all the different ones. But they're probably not putting the right information into their prompt, because as we've trained and as we've spoken about before, the more information you put in, the more accurate response that you're going to get out. So most clients don't know that they need to put in the house's condition or any upgrades or any necessary upgrades that are needed, or how it compares to the other properties on the street or in that community. So they see that number, they get excited, and they bring it to you, and then you have to show them a number that's lower or not where they want it to be. So again, like Sharan said, there's practical responses, emotional, intellectual. I say whatever works best with your communication style or your client's communication style, but often you can kind of pick and choose from them. So a practical thing to do would be show the comp side by side using their number versus your number. Again, asking what details did you put in? Can I see your prompt? And then show them, okay, well, if you add in these numbers as well, you'll see that we might get a slightly different result. Rerun their prompt live, adding in that information, and see what happens. I would suggest doing this on your own, even if you suspect the agent or the client is using AI or not, just so that you can be prepared, be like, okay, what's ChatGPT going to say about this property? Because even if it's not your client, it might be somebody that wants to buy the property that does that. An emotional way to react would be, I get why that's exciting. This is a great first step. It's not bad information. It's just incomplete. And again, their fear is leaving money on the table. That's your fear as well. You want to get them the highest offer for the property. So make sure you connect with them and be like, this is both of our goals, and we're going to do the best that we can. And then again, another angle is AI averages the market, but it doesn't know this house. And that Zestimate error is a stat, it's not a promise. So even though that number is below 2%, that doesn't mean that that's going to be accurate across the board. Again, AI tells you the market, but you as the agent, you tell them their house, their community, their very specific situation. So those are some great ways to kind of have that conversation and try to get you both on the same page when it comes to valuing a property. And moving right along to marketing.
Yeah, so in this scenario, your client has done all of your work for you. Wonderful, right? You don't have to do anything, and then hands it to you and expects you to use it verbatim, right? So this is going to be typically very generic because, as we've said all along, they are not prompting enough information into it for the answer to be what it needs to be. So here lies a perfect opportunity for you to demonstrate again that you are a team. You are both on the same side, right? So take it and say, okay, let's edit this together, right? This is a perfect opportunity to side-by-side work with them, validate what they've given you. And by the way, there might be some good ideas in there. You don't know. AI can throw up all kinds of things, right? I think this is a very organic, great way to work in fair housing, because there's not really many great organic ways to work in fair housing in any conversation, but this one is, because I'm sure that they have not said in their prompt, make sure you are abiding by all fair housing laws. So you can point out where the inaccuracies are and where it might get them into trouble. So now you're protecting them, which again is another great check mark for you, right? Another thing you can do is take what they've given you and put it into where it would fit into the overall marketing strategy. You're a great agent. You have a marketing strategy, right? So take what they've given you and say, you know, this part I think I can really use in this aspect of my strategy that we've already gone over. So now everyone's feeling great. It's not, you know, you versus them or you versus their AI. It's working very seamlessly and the client feels great, more likely to refer you and go, this person is so great to work with, right? Because you've validated what they've given them. This works on that emotional level. You're giving them approval. Everyone wants approval, right? You talk to anybody, everybody wants that. Thank you. Or that was great. It makes us feel good. So compliments. Compliment the substance, like I said, that could work great in this context. I could use this part of it. Keep them involved. That is the key. Their involvement is key. You are the expert, we know this, but show this is a perfect way to demonstrate and show how you are the expert in real times in relation to something that they've provided you. So actually it's enforcing your expertise even more so. So this is an amazing opportunity. And again, like we've said, AI is going to be generic. It is not, they have not prompted in specifics. And there again is where you can demonstrate how you know and are trained in AI better and can use it better as that tool. It won't have all of that localized data, all of that localized information that you as the expert bring to this transaction. And again, it's not about style. This is legal exposure, especially given fair housing. So let's keep it that way. Let's frame it that way. And again, I think all of these scenarios are a great opportunity to set yourself up even more so as the expert.
All right. And speaking of legal, what if they have questions about contracts or disclosures, and they want to challenge you by saying, ChatGPT says this, but again, does ChatGPT know the specific local area that they're speaking about, or is it pulling generically? Often ChatGPT does know where you're located when you ask these questions, but what if they're an out-of-state seller and it's pulling from that local information? So again, you want to get the actual chat. I feel like that's a consistent theme throughout this is, can I see your prompt? Can I see your conversation? Show your state-specific form next to what AI gave them, and then use our essential partners. We have an in-house legal team. We have title, escrow. We have lending.
We have Stella.
Yeah, we have Stella. So it's not just you versus the agent when you get the legal processes involved. You lean on your essential partners for that conversation. But again, pull it back to, yes, that might be what AI said, but I want you to look at what our actual in-house experts have to say about this specific area or specific property. Again, there's a fear of being taken advantage of. This is a huge purchase. They're trusting you. Of course, they're going to spend time doing their own research. I'm also in the market to buy a car right now, and the amount of time that I've spent looking online, trying to ask all the questions that I'm afraid of or things that I think of one-off, and it can kind of get you into this crazy spiral where you don't know which way is up and which way is down. So just, think of it from that perspective. This is a big purchase. Again, stay curious. Don't be defensive. You want to work on it together, and staying calm and remembering that nothing that they bring to you is an attack, even though all of that information may seem like an attack in the moment. It's just them sharing, like, I did this research because I have these concerns. So again, remind them AI doesn't know your specific situation, your specific state, the specific form, the specific zip code or area. It answers the question asked, and I think that's true across everything we've ever talked about AI, unless that person specifically says, is there other information you need from me? Are there things that you think I'm leaving out? Like, what else do I need to know about this? Fill in the gaps. It's just going to answer the questions presented to them. It's not going to go, oh, but you didn't ask about this, or this specific scenario. They have to actually ask that. So again, reframe it as AI is a well-read intern who's never closed a deal. However, I am a local expert who has closed multiple deals. So again, these are some great ways to kind of combat that and bring in our essential partners if you ever get stuck in a situation where you feel like you're in a standstill. And our second to last situation is negotiation.
So this is kind of the big one that we mentioned at the beginning. This was the famous case of the $50 million deal. But it's happening. A buyer is going to look for validation for, am I paying too much? And a seller is going to be looking for, am I giving my house away? Am I leaving money on the table? They're both valid forms of concern. What AI does, particularly ChatGPT, it likes to please you. So it likes to tell you what you want to hear. And listen how the question is framed. Am I paying too much? ChatGPT is like, oh, of course you're paying too much. Am I leaving money on the table? Yes, you're leaving money on the table. It wants to please you. And unless your prompt says, give me an unbiased, objective answer, it's not going to. AI is built to give you a coherent answer, right? That's technically correct according to the prompt, but not an objectively correct answer. So that's something very important to keep in mind. And again, where no one wants to lose in a transaction. We know this. Buyers don't want to feel like they've lost. Sellers don't want to feel like they're lost. This is a constant struggle. This is where our skills as negotiators comes in beautifully. And this is an occasion where you can showcase that. I'm starting with the emotional because this is a very emotionally charged part of the transaction, right? And if you don't handle it correctly, the deal's just going to fall apart. Let's slow it down. Communicate with the other agent. Validate everyone's concerns. And then if you can, address not just the number, but what is driving this concern, right? And try and pull the other agent into it. Because at the end of the day, as an agent, our job is to have a win-win situation. It's more like a compromise situation, but everyone feels like they got something out of the deal. One thing that you can do practically is let's look at one source. Let's not look at the seller's AI or the buyer's AI. Let's try and look at one source. If they're both using chat, why don't we look at Claude? If one of them's using Claude or Gemini, why don't we look at chat, right? Try and pick some neutral ground. And in that same vein, maybe there needs to be a neutral party that does this. Maybe there's distrust on the agents as well. But reframe the conversation around that one true source that both sides have input into rather than trying to attack the tools, right? Because that's just not going to work. And again, AI can model things, it can model a market, but it can't model the intricacies of a deal unless you put every single detail of that deal into the prompt, which we don't really advise you to do because it's usually got some very personal information in that. And again, you're looking at two people's incentives. What is driving this? What motivated them to put these prompts into AI? Let's talk about that and see if we can figure out a way around that and get a deal that way rather than focusing in on the AI. Because what was the motivation for both parties to do that? Since the transaction's been going fine so far, we've got a contract, right? What's going on? And again, these details never make it into the prompt, right? So if you can see the other side's prompt and your own client's prompt, it could help you to reframe that question. It could help you for them to see the other side, point out the deal that they're actually getting on both sides. And again, like I said before, great way to show you're a master negotiator. And then you can use that in future listing appointments. This is the deal that I saved because of my negotiation skills, because I'm an expert in AI, I'm expert in human sides. And in this particular case, big numbers are involved or even small numbers, it's all relative. don't don't leave out the emotional part of it, because that's usually the driver behind these situations.
Yep. And now our last scenario is the AI generated rubric, very similar to what Sharan mentioned of the client sending a long email with all the different notes and checklists. So they're sending you a marketing calendar, budgets, views. Again, it's going to look like a really long document that's just way different than any other communication style. And it's going to feel like, oh, they're attacking my job as an agent, or they're trying to do my job for me. So again, you want to ask to see that actual list react to the document. Maybe you want to look at some of the certain pieces of it and take it in phases. And again, like we've said in the past, be like, oh, this is good. This fits into my typical strategy, or I've tried this before and I've tried this before, but I would actually recommend in this scenario going this way. So dissect it with them, take that time to look through it. They took the time to prepare it and put it together. But what I would advise is come ready with a prepared leave behind. It puts everything together and you can compare that to what they provided and give your reasoning for why you chose the steps that you chose. Again, don't get defensive. This just signals a fear of choosing wrong, but they need to know that they chose you for the right reason, or that they're going to choose you for the right reason, that they trust you. As we've said, respect the diligence that they put into it, but it doesn't mean it's the right rubric. So you want to compete on your past performance, the evidence of your past sales and how you've already sold X number of properties in a similar market. And this is how you accomplish that. This one I really like under intellectual is the AI is creating this plan on day 0, but what it doesn't know is what happens on day 1, day 2, after the first week of being on the market. So you as the agent are reacting to the real-time market, the real-time feedback from buyers, the real-time offers or lack of offers, the traffic in the property. AI doesn't know that. So they're knowing from what that client has put in, but you as the agent know what to expect and how to adjust. But you can also take a look at their list and say, this is a really long, exhaustive list. Let's break this down into sections. What's our high priority? Let's focus on those and work them into my plan. Or look, I already have those worked into my plan. And after 2 weeks, we'll take another look and adjust. Again, ask them what prompted them to create this. It often reveals what they truly value so that you can shift your focus onto that, reassure them about that, send them updates on that, or again, adjust your strategy. So again, it's overwhelming when you get that full list. I've received it before in emails. I'm sure a lot of you have as well, whether it's a marketing calendar or otherwise. So take a minute and figure out what the true motivation is behind them sending that. So those are our 5 scenarios. But Sharan's going to share just a few scripts again, just to make you feel comfortable when having these conversations.
Exactly. We wanted to give you some takeaways here that you can put into your own voice, expand upon. And again, we're not competing with AI. We can't. It should be part of your business plan. And clearly, clients are using it for all kinds of things, and now they're using it for real estate also. Not a surprise. It's research. Look at it like that. Their client did some research. Great. Let's take that research. An intern did some research. You as the expert is going to look at it and refine it and incorporate it if there's some good ideas into what you're doing. It's going to make your client feel great. Such as saying, that's a great starting point. Frame it. It's a starting point. It's not the end result. Let's stress test it against what's actually happening here. What is happening in this neighborhood, in this locale with the comps? Always take what they're saying and put it into real life. Because as Christina said, the time that they put the prompt in and got this answer, it's frozen in time. But you are ever evaluating. AI is really good at averages. My job is knowing the exceptions and the local market and the comps and what's going on. And I've toured all of these homes that we're talking about, all of that great stuff. I'm not against the tool, as I've already explained and elaborated, and I use it. I just don't want it to cost you money because it doesn't know something that only a local agent would. these are just some examples. I'm sure you can expand upon those and kind of put it to whichever scenario you're facing. But there's just wanted to give you some practical things to take away with you after today's session that you could start on and expand upon. And again, I think the underlying message is what is driving the client to AI in the first place? Let's get their motivation. Let's take the emotion out of it without not recognizing that it's there. And then use it as an opportunity. This is a great opportunity to showcase your experience, your expertise, your knowledge, your negotiation skills, networking skills, and all the rest of it. So for the question of will AI replace us, I think hopefully in this session, you've realized that it absolutely cannot.
Yeah, cannot, will not. I like the first one the best. This is a great starting point. The others feel a little bit more defensive, but that one I think is a little bit much more collaborative. And all your scenarios, I love that you broke it down to emotional, intellectual, and the practical, because I think, what's that book, The 5 Love Languages? I think when you speak in a way that your client is most receptive to, then they're going to be most receptive to the response.
And pick the response that you as an agent feel most comfortable sharing, because certain things like you said, you think those feel just defensive, you wouldn't be able to phrase those in a good way, but some agents might be like, that's how I speak, and that's what my clients like. So
exactly.
But yeah, like we said, this is nothing new. Clients have been bringing their opinions or their needs to us for as long as real estate has been around, but AI is just packaging a little bit differently. So we need to recognize the signs and adapt to move forward. Again, as you know, we have our Ahead of the Curve channel. We do our monthly classes. We're on Success Path or Go Live, and you can watch all those recordings. So feel free to send us requests if you'd like to see a specific topic. We will begin working on our next class, so literally next week, as we meet weekly to talk about these topics. And then again, Rajiv Saja has some great custom GPTs that are built for real estate, so we always like to promote those. They're pre-programmed to already do the job for you. And then as always, no matter when you're using AI, or even if you're not using AI, make sure you follow DRE compliance, follow the AI/virtually enhanced image disclaimer. Those are all very important, and as well as fair housing. So those are 3 things that no matter what you're doing, you wanna triple check everything. I think we have some questions that Christina pulled up in comments.
Questions, or actually maybe even a validation.
Awesome.
We like validations.
Tim Swan, our Calabasas and Encino branch manager. Thank you for watching, Tim. Says these slides are wonderful. Can we get them ASAP? And the answer is yes. Of course you can.
This is I believe ready to watch very soon on Percipio. So yeah, it'll be ready today. But we can make sure that the slides get uploaded to Percipio as well. And I think we've talked about adding this as part of our ongoing Success Path discussions. Maybe
absolutely
not as lengthy, but looks like we're getting a lot of support.
Clara Eisman, that's great. Another branch manager, Clara for Tustin.
And
thank you. Michael Turner, great stuff, ladies. Okay, I won't be offended that he doesn't think that I'm great, but and Michael, great to see you as well. So you guys are getting a lot of love.
Awesome. Well,
thank you, everyone.
It's helpful, but I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this. But please send your requests in if you're hearing something about AI or you use a tool. We could even bring you on and feature how you're using AI as well. We want to hear from you.
Yeah.
And if there's anything out there you want us to tackle, if there's a certain subject or a certain tool or a certain aspect, like today we went slightly different, but let us know. We're here for you. We want to help you in what you're facing out there in the world. So let us know.
Sure. I mean, I'm so proud and impressed by the 2 of you. It was 2.5 years ago, was it?
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Feels crazy.
So you guys went to a marketing summit and first heard the word AI and came back and just jumped into the deep end.
Yep, we saw Rajiv and Jimmy on stage, and we were like, we need that at California Properties.
Yep. So you brought that knowledge back to us before probably any other brokerage. And so again, I'm so grateful that you take the time every week to educate yourself and then in turn educate our agents.
Well, thank you. We're happy to do it.
By far, we are the most trained, most competent. So awesome job, you guys. So in full disclosure, Christina, if you want to pull up our quote. in full disclosure, I used AI.
Look
So
at you.
I took your agenda today and I said, what would be a really good quote based on today's topic?
Love
And
it.
this is what it suggested to me. And I thought, not so bad. I thought it would be a good one. And then I said, okay, well, using that quote, what would be a good image? So AI did this entire thing for me
Love it.
while I was in the car driving
Nice.
down here. I didn't.
Now that's multitasking.
I know, right?
That is multitasking.
I know. So you too can do it.
Do it while you're driving, though.
Well, okay, all right. Don't do it while you're driving. Anyway, our quote today is from AI, and actually technically from Alvin Toffler. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So
Very true.
So true.
thank you for helping us learn how to make AI our collaborator and not our defense. So well done, you guys.
Thank you. And
Thank
thanks
you.
for joining, everyone.
We will see you next week. I think next week we have a great panel, an agent panel, and it's on negotiations and how to prepare for negotiations. And it's not what you think. It's not requests for repairs. It's not price negotiations. So please join in next week, next Tuesday, and you'll be educated on negotiations and how some of our top agents prepare themselves for negotiations. So,
All right. I'm excited for it.
yeah, please join us.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.